In the Gospel, Jesus said, "Do not turn your steps to pagan territory. Do not enter any Samaritan town. Go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as you go, proclaim that the kingdom of heaven is close at hand." It is important to take note that the message of salvation initially was addressed to the Jews first, before the Gentiles. And we know that Jesus himself, he did not go outside of Palestine to bring the gospel to the Gentiles. There were a few occasions when the Gentiles came to him, like the centurion, like the Syrophoenician woman, and he did extend the gospel, the good news to them. But in his own mission, he was clear that his calling was to restore the house of Israel and to bring about conversion to his own people, first and foremost. And that was why Jesus instructed the 12 not to go to pagan territory, to focus on the people of Israel. As we read in today's first reading from the prophet Hosea, Israel was the chosen people of God. And Israel, actually, the northern kingdom, was doing pretty well. Israel, as the prophet said, was a luxuriant vine, yielding plenty of fruit. Unfortunately, this is often the case with most people in life, and in the case of Israel. When things are going well, when the country became prosperous, instead of being grateful to God, instead of recognizing the blessings come from God, they begin to glorify themselves. And the irony, the prophet said, the more his fruit increased, the more altars he built. The richer his land became, the richer he made the sacred stone. Their heart is a divided heart. And there is always this tension between success and reverence for God. When people become too successful, as we see in the present state of the world, when people have made great technological progress, material progress, and become affluent, instead of being grateful to God for the blessings, they begin to think about themselves. Their heart is a divided heart. They are not really devoted to God because they have become self-sufficient. And I think this is really a great danger for all of us in our spiritual life. When we are able to take care of ourselves, God is always second in our life, or even third or fourth. God is only used as a backup, not because we need him, but because in case other things do not work well, we have someone to turn to. And that was true for the kingdom of Israel. The kings, they were prosperous, nation was prosperous, but as a result, they were involved in idolatry, and they did not respect that it was God who chose them to be kings. In fact, they said, "We have no king because we have not feared the Lord." At any rate, what is the consequence? The consequence would be that the country would be destroyed by Assyria. And God said to them, "Samaria has had her day, and those idolatrous high places shall be destroyed, and the mountains will fall on them." And this is always the fact of life. It's only when people experience tragedy, when they experience helplessness, then they turn to God. But sometimes it's a bit too late. And sometimes the consequences, the disasters, will be too overwhelming for us to embrace. And so that is what we are called to do as well. We are called to re-evangelize our Catholics. We are called to help our Catholics because most of our Catholics, unfortunately, we have large numbers, but most of them are nominal Catholics. They go to church, perhaps on Sunday. They are good people. They do their little part, but God is not really the center of their life. God is an extra. And so the faith in God and devotion to Him is something that not part of their life. They give a little bit of time to God, perhaps, but God is not really the center of their life, much less the gospel. I just wonder how many Catholics really read the gospel every day and try to reflect how they are living out that life of Christ and how they are praying to God. I don't think we carry the gospel in our hearts as what many Christians would do. We read occasionally and we forget. We don't really imbibe even in the words of the gospel. The gospel is not a book that we'll refer to every day for our decision making, every day for inspiration. It is a matter of fact sometimes, And even when we attend daily Mass, how many of us really make time to prepare ourselves is to read the Word of God? So the gospel is not centered, and that is why Catholics are not being moved, being inspired, being driven by the gospel. They are, they have some faith in God, but the values are basically that of the world. And so there is a question here which sometimes really makes me wonder, should we spend so much energy and time on trying to rescue those people whose hearts are hardened? And I suppose, at the end of the day, the prophet Hosea has warned us, Samaria has had her day. So we can continue to proclaim the gospel, to re-evangelize Catholics. We give them hope. But at the end of the day, if they are not taking up the free gift of the gospel, then Jesus tells us at the same time, we also need to give to others who are looking for it. And so today, as we read the gospel, we remember how Jesus gave the apostles authority over unclean spirits and to cure all kinds of diseases. On our part, I think people will be very happy to hear the good news. The good news using the authority to cast out evil, more than just evil spirits, authority by a life of integrity, and authority to cure all kinds of diseases, making the gospel that is relevant, helping our people to live holistic, meaningful life.